a Deal podcast. Today, my discussion is going to be about something that is very common on the internet, and I want to really give you some context behind business credit, real estate, and leverage. But before I do that, I always want to let people know what this podcast primarily focuses on: funding, financing creatively for real estate investors. And the reason why I thought that it is important to make that clarification is because we live in a time space reality here on the internet where it is very easy to display knowledge on a subject matter when it comes to AI and then information online. It is really easy for a person to give content on a particular subject matter, but no context. And so I always want to pride myself on that. On this podcast, that is normally my goal, is to give you context to a lot of content based on real life situations that I have dealt with, whether for myself or for my clients. So that is why on this channel, I normally talk about things that are not widely talked about. But there is a saying that I have amongst people that I know personally: the internet will catch up. And so that's why my topic today about business credit, real estate, and leverage is something that is pretty much everywhere on the internet today. And I know a lot of times the internet is a very big place. So when you think about business credit and real estate, it's really a very small microcosm of the internet space in a whole. But if that is something that you desire in terms of credit, leverage, real estate, you have already done your Googles on the subject matter. And so if you have done your Googles, you will know that I have been talking about business credit since 2018. I did not just start yesterday. I've been talking about real estate, leveraging business credit since 2018. So a lot of the experience and the topics I talk about, it's not me rehashing someone else's information to deliver here on the podcast. And that is why I want to talk about this topic, because as I film this, it is now 2024. We're going into 2025. The last couple of videos, I've been talking a lot about asset-based lending. And asset-based lending is not a common conversation in the real estate community. You still have seasoned real estate agents that if you ask them about asset-based lending, they probably don't know what you're talking about. And so it is very easy and salacious here on the internet that you're going to begin to hear people talk about topics that they may not know anything about. And so a lot of the content that I share is either a conversation that I've had with a prospect or conversations I have had on offline, and I bring them to you to bring clarification, because I'm like, if a person is confused and I'm talking to them, imagine the amount of people on the internet that may feel the same way. And so my goal is that if one person is able to take something away from this conversation to make their life better, by all means, I have did my job. And so understand that my standpoint is not going to be a very popular one, because once again, it's 100 ways to skin a cat. And so at the end of the day, I am only going to give you the advice from the standpoint of how I do business and what could possibly work for you based on what your goals are. So let's get into it. You have a lot of people who can tell you from a content standpoint about business credit and real estate. And so, story time. Let me share with you a story, real life story that I have seen numerous times throughout the year. And I just recently had one. And I said, you know what, in 2025, ugh, it is really not the time that I would hope that there are so many adults, because I'm not talking to children. So there are still adults who are at the adult age, they have kids, and it's almost sad that there are people who are lured, by information that will never get them closer to the goal. And when you start to talk about business credit and you want to pair it with real estate, what you have to understand is at the end of the day, what really is your goal? Because there are people who can help you get business credit. We got a gazillion videos, gazillion experts, gazillion influencers who could tell you how to get business credit. Talk to the banks all throughout the country, open up 20 tabs on your computer, apply, get your business credit card or what have you. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that is something that you desire, then call a spade a spade. You really just want a credit card. Because when you add real estate in the mix, that becomes a whole different animal. And so in the past couple of videos, I've been talking a lot about asset-based lending. And now you're beginning to hear people sensationally talk about the ability to be able to get multifamilies and use business credit, and they may want to even sprinkle in DSCR, fix and flips, or what have you. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you really don't have a clear strategy on how that can be done, you will be spinning your wheels. Because what I'm finding is that a lot of people have gotten the business credit, but they do not know how to bridge it over to the real estate side. And unless you were in a market where a business credit card can pretty much from soup to nuts handle the whole transaction, but then there are things to consider, because if it's a multifamily, a duplex, or what have you, depending on your market, who in their right mind would use a credit card with a APR interest rate double digits to hold on for the long term? Who would do that? Because the person who is saying, well, it's 0%, 0% is only for a particular time. It's only for 12 months, 18 months, 6 months. It's not for 30 years. So when you start to really have a conversation of leverage, using credit, and you're not looking at no numbers, meaning that you have really not examined the numbers to really say, is this the capital that I literally need to use in order to get me closer to the goal that I am trying to put in place? Or does someone just tell me an idea that they kind of heard, but they're not really using it themselves? Or they brought in an expert who, yes, they may be very good at real estate, but when you start to want to pair DSCR, fix and flip loans, understand you're dealing with another party. You're dealing with a lender. And it's not a lender in the sense of, you can't be listening to a mortgage professional who does everything FHA and then they're giving you advice on the investing landscape when they know that all day, every day, they do FHA. DSCR, fix and flips, if anyone has never told you, that is hedge fund money. It's not from a traditional bank. I've even heard now, I've heard some business credit professionals even want to start saying alternative financing. Once again, just hearing someone talk about it, and a lot of times, yes, I am going to, I'm going to toot my horn. I've talked a lot about in the past about alternative financing, and they don't even know what it is. So the delivery that they put, because anyone can do a chat GPT query on a particular topic, sound confident about it, and then try to just tell people, the masses, on how it works. But then you have grown adults who are literally trying to bridge the information over to real life. And that's when it gets scary, and that's when it gets hairy. And as we go into 2025, we are going to be bringing in a new president. We're going to have a new landscape. And so the tricks of the trade that may have worked in 2020 are no longer going to possibly work in 2025. Because in 2020, there was not even a big conversation amongst asset-based lending. Yes, it could have been in the landscape. There could have been hedge funds who did kind of put the product mix together, but it wasn't a widely big conversation. If you talk to a person who purchased a multifamily, because remember, we're talking leverage. So we're talking about you having the ability to leverage some form of a debt stack. And that's a conversation that needs to be talked about, because when you talk about leverage, you're supposed to be considering what is the debt stack that is possibly going to be used to be able to get you to your goal. It's not get a credit card, because when it comes to asset-based lending, it is based on the asset. I talked about that in Fix and Flips video I did in the DSCR, and in the future you'll see me do more videos. It's all about the asset. It doesn't start with the financing. And so going back to story time with speaking to someone who desired to be able to leverage something in terms of financing and credit, was able to do the credit piece, couldn't figure out how the other piece came into play when it came to wanting to get multifamilies. Because at the end of the day, there are some people where FHA will help them get to their goal. Like, why are you even considering in a DSCR or of course, a fix or flip or a fix to rent, however you want to use the terminology, may not even be the avenue that you need to really go down. And if those things aren't looked at, and the only thing you're being told is get a business credit card, the business credit card, depending on the way you want to go, is not the first step in getting real estate in general. Whether you're going FHA, and I'm not even an FHA person, but it's definitely not the play when it comes to you wanting to invest in a multifamily. And so going back to what I was saying about DSCR, if you talk to an investor who bought a multifamily in 2020, let's go back to 2020. We had low interest rates, money was cheap. And if you talk to an investor who bought something during that time, 9 times out of 10, the loan product that they use was not possibly called the DSCR or any of the asset-based lending products that are out today. What they did was that they went and they secured financing for the particular investment that they wanted to make. Now, as the asset-based lending space becomes more popular amongst people, whether investors or just individuals doing their research, the investor who desires to get a 2 or 3 or 4 family or what have you, that is probably the route that they may go. But for some people, it goes back to FHA may work for them. They may want to go FHA, live in a unit, rent out the other units. At the end of the day, you got to be clear on what it is that you want to do. It doesn't start with a business credit card, because at the end of the day, if that is really what you desire, I just want a business credit card, then just do that. But to say I want to invest in real estate and I have to get a business credit card, that's misinformation. And so I want to kind of just pause for a second and then just start to examine, if you're using asset-based lending and you got to use a lender, you got to know what it is that is required for you to get into the deal, even if you want to leverage credit, because the debt stack and the equity stack matters. I know many people are sold on you're going to run the play, you're going to whatever, beat the bank, or or whatever, you're going to, I don't know, finesse the bank or what have you. You're not going to be able to do that when it comes to you trying to secure a fix or flip loan or a DSCR. Like that whole play is not going to work. And so what people don't understand is that a lot of times the mindset to do one thing carries over to another. So if you've been in the mindset of, I'm going to run the play on the bank, I'm gonna beat the bank at their own game, and this has nothing to do with whatever strategy you've been taught, whether it's go talk to a gazillion banks, find out what they would require for you to get the highest amount. At the end of the day, there is a level of sorcery, and I know that's a strong word, that's being used for you to get access to that capital. And whether that's inflating the amount of income that you say you make, that is a mindset, that is an attitude, that is who you are, that's who you be. And what happens is you bring them, whether you're conscious of it or not, because a lot of times people don't even know they're conscious of doing it. And then they try to bring that over to a space of where you can't run no place. Like, you really think that these hedge funds who have billions and billions of dollars are gonna trick you into getting some money? So going back to what I'm saying, that when I talk to an individual, and the conversation literally goes a little bit like this, because like I said, it's kind of hard to be one person in one thing and then become a whole different person in another. And so if I have a teacher who's taught me, we're going to run the play, we're going to do this to the bank, and it may have worked. By all means, you got your American Express Platinum, your Black, whatever card you tried to get, and it works. Now you come over to a space of where you now have to be, everything has to line up. Whereas the lender is going to ask you some questions that you need to document. If you really want to leverage those, they need to know that. Full transparency at its best. You better be very, and so what I find is, going back to the example, that's what I was going to talk about, is I'll talk to a person and they'll say, I'm learning how to leverage credit and I got the credit cards, but now I can't seem to figure out how I can get a DSCR loan with the business credit. I can't seem to figure that out because when I'm talking to lenders, they want me to come up with a lot of money. Now, at the end of the day, a lot of money is relative. Well, what do you mean a lot of money? Like, that's relative. Well, after digging a little deeper, you find out that it's not a lot of money. It's just it requires money. So it's not that the person is saying, I got to put a lot of money into the deal. It is, I got to put something into the deal. Oh, so let me get this. You were sold that you can get the Magic credit card, and the Magic credit card would totally get you into some type of deal leveraging in some type of investor loan, whether it was DSCR, a fix and flip loan, a fix to rent, or what have you. And you can't seem to figure out how you gonna get the lender to approve you for this loan without putting any money into the deal. Is that what I get? That yeah. Well, you know what? I hate to tell you this. You're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Because at that point, it is not my job to help a confused mind get clarity. And I know one may say, oh, that's not right, Loretta. No, no, no. That's why, if you notice, why I use the word sorcery. If a person has been sold the mindset and the beliefs and has moved and has proceeded into that action to do a certain thing, I'm not going to come around and want to save that person. If anything, I'm going to be the person who is going to be the biggest cheerleader. This is what you need to do, Mr. Sir, Miss Ma'am, or what have you. You need to go back to your influencer, your expert, or what have you, who sold you that play, and have them to figure it out how you're going to proceed. Because what's so sad is, and this is what I tell people all the time, and I'm going to start saying it a lot in my videos, I'm not the person that's going to help you going in now into 2025 is going to undo your confusion. If you are sold on a particular method, by all means, you go ahead. Because when I look at the pool of clients where, like I said, my testimonials are real. I don't give people gift cards and pay them to do testimonials. They are real people, real testimonials. And at the end of the day, the reason why they're real and I still continue to get them is because those particular people are very clear on what it is that they want. There's a difference between a person who is like, I'm trying to get to this goal. I've tried to do this, I tried to do that. I can't seem to get to my goal. And I'm doing that. They got something, whether it's experience, whether it's access to something, like they are in motion, they are doing something, and they just need some guidance on some things. Because I've said in other videos, just because you are an expert at what it is that you do in real estate don't make you an expert in financing. Because real estate investors who are good at what they do know that they are not all day every day pricing out deals, looking at different scenarios, going back and forth with lenders, creating term sheets. They're not doing that. They are good at their deals and what it is that they do and with the resources they have. That's what they're good at. And if they're honest, they'll tell you that. as opposed to the person who's just sold the pipe dream. Many people, goes back to what I said in the beginning. It's sad because these are adults with children, and they don't know what it is that they want. They're just sold a dream. So it ain't my job to be their canvas and be their Picasso and pick and paint their picture. It's not. Because yes, business credit has a place. It can be paired with real estate. How do I know? Because I have did it with clients I've worked with. But understand, and I tell people, it is never my goal to just get you a whole bunch of credit cards. That's why I tell people I have clients today that I still work with, and I have never got them funding. They never got them funding. Oh, well, Leroy, well, why would they still stick with you? Didn't they want the fun? No, because it's never the funding. The funding is easy. Getting credit cards is easy. I talked about that 5 or 6 years ago, a 680 credit score. I was saying that 5 or 6 years ago. That stuff is easy. You talking to a lender and figuring out what is required for you to get into a deal, that's easy. So it's never getting the funding. The goal is, I want to be able to do this. What is the best way for me to do it? And a lot of times it may not require debt. It can be an equity play. It can be a strategy where the tax plan is part of it, which is why I did a whole video on 1031 exchange. Because a lot of times you could do a real estate transaction and there's a tax plan that's done on the back end. But see, that's the part that they can't tell you because they don't really know how it works. So that's why I say I don't create content based on what the audience wants. Because if I left it for the audience, I never would have started talking about business credit in 2018. I would have never did it. Because there were a few players. I'm not going to call their names out, but on YouTube, there were a few players who were talking about business credit. One I know still today, well-known person in the business credit space, helps business credit professionals build their business. Many of the influencers you see today came from that camp. But it wasn't a lot of people talking about it. So I'm never going to talk about something based on what is the audience asking for. I'm going to do content based on what I'm seeing in real life, because at the end of the day, there are other people somewhere in the world who has this same situation, or who wants to be able to put this same type of strategy in place. So going back to what I originally said, when, talking about person that they did this, they can't seem to, that's a mindset shift. Like most humans, and I know psychology expert, but if the mindset that you have to do one thing carries over in other areas. I believe that's why with the personal development experts say how you do anything is how you do everything. So now they wonder why they can't bring that same mindset shift to a space where now somebody going to do all the checks and balances. All the checks and balances. No, you're not going to finesse no hedge fund into getting their money. You're not going to do it. And the time that you spend doing it, and that's what I was saying before I lost my train of thought. I'm the person to come to if your future self, and who is your future self, meaning 5 or 10 years ago, You want that person whoever, if you're that person and hey, I'm this age. In 10 years, I'm going to be this age. I want to be in a position where this is where I'm happy I am at. Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, being a person who is over 50, 10 years can go by like that. And you could look down and wonder you have not accomplished anything. I think at the age that I am now, over 50, I have literally gone through 5 recessions. And that's if you're including this one. I get it. Jerome Powell may have not said that it is a recession, but based on, things that people are saying in the marketplace, it's a recession, but it hasn't officially been said it's a recession. This is my 5th one. So as an adult, I have been through 3. The other 2, I was a child. In the early 80s, I was a kid. Then the one that was in the mid 90s, yeah, I was like going into adulthood, college age, or what have you. But then all the others after that, I was a full-fledged adult working and doing things by myself. So I say that to say that as I sum up this video, that's why I called it Business Credit, Real Estate, and Leverage in 2025. As I film this video, is 2024. 2025 is just days away. Don't let another year go by if you truly do desire that, hey, I want to get to this particular place, but I'm not quite sure how to get there. What help do I need? What books do I need to read? Whatever help you need, figure it out, because time is going to pass you. So I tell you, I'm not the person who's going to teach you some tricks, do something salacious, which is why I told you I retreated after having a conversation with that person, and I saw that they were just pretty much dazed and confused, and not dazed and confused with the information that they gave that was given to them, but dazed and confused. They really didn't know what they wanted to do. It ain't my job to try to figure it out for them. It's just not. So I say this to say, do something that your future self will be proud of. Real estate is a long-term game. It has always been. It is not something that's going to get you rich overnight. I don't care what high-end car, mansion the person is living with. If you believe a credit card is going to get you there, I can sell you the Brooklyn Bridge too. Because at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I'm a big proponent of leverage. It has its place. But when you have people who are trying to do things that will benefit them long term, but they're trying to just do it in a way that will never move the needle, it's just going to leave them further and further down in a state of confusion. It's never good. But that's all I have for you today. I think I'm already at 30 minutes. That's just my take on business credit, real estate, and leverage in 2025. If you're not looking at your numbers and really putting together some type of spreadsheet or software, whatever it is that you have, to really look at, I want to do, this is my financial goal for real estate. What is it going to take for me from a capital standpoint in order for me to get into the deal? What is it going to look like from a debt standpoint if I need to be able to get some debt on the deal? That is going, and debt meaning you're going to require some type of lender to assist you with that. And you're not looking at those numbers on a spreadsheet. All you going by is someone telling you what you could possibly do verbally, but you're not looking at the numbers. Like I said, 10 years will pass you by and you'll still be chasing your tail. When it comes to leveraging business credit and in leveraging some type of investor type of debt, whether it's DSCR, fix and flips, or what have you. This is not for no, FHA, VA, or whatever, because those are different requirements and different type of financing or what have you. But in this scheme of things, because I just, like I said, I hear people just say certain things, and I'm like, do you know what that even means? You know, I know I said I'm gonna wrap up, but one story I'm gonna say, story time. Went to a networking event locally here in my market. Person was talking about residential. They were a mortgage person, very knowledgeable. And the reason why I say very knowledgeable, because they were able to dial in a niche area in terms of the grants that can assist people to buy homes in the state of New Jersey. They knew that code. That's the only market they work in. They don't do no national, or they just work in New Jersey from soup to nuts. They knew all time. I was even blown away because I did not know the amount of assistance and the grants that were out there. And so afterwards, I'm talking to some people. Like I said, it was a networking event, and there were some people that were floored by the information. And I said, and as I'm talking, and they're like, "Oh, I just love the information." And I've asked them, "Well, did you go talk to the gentleman? Get his card so you can, further the conversation. Maybe he can help." Now I don't know. I didn't know the person from a can of paint. Like, I mean, I've seen his name in so, but I don't know him enough to be like, "Well, hey, John, how you doing?" I don't know him. And I don't do. I'm just going by from what I hear. Delivery wise, like I said, very popular in a lot of real estate circles here in New Jersey. So I know that if his name was no good, somebody definitely would have said something by now. And I say to the person, "Have you thought about having a conversation with the person or whatever?" And the person said, "Oh, I want to take the information and go to my mortgage person and have them to tell me how it works." I get having a relationship with a particular person, but for the life of me, the problem that I see adults do, and this is a whole nother video, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, is that you already have someone who knows the subject matter very well right here. Why are you trying to take it to another person and have them to try to fit? Because they, most of the time, humans aren't going to tell you they don't know what it is. They're going to have you believing they do. And what happens is that you two get into a ball of confusion. Going back to what I said, you don't get no closer to your goal. 5 years done passed by, 10 years, because you waiting for that person that to help you with something that they really don't know how to do. So that's the whole point of this video. As we go into 2025, can we stop doing that? Can we stop if you resonate, and this is what I've started telling people all the time, if you resonate with a certain person's message, because I hate to say this, but you would think common sense is common, but it's not. Why would you not want to just continue with going further than with what that person is telling you? Why would you try to extract that information and go to someone else and have them to decipher it? So that's why I always say, if you desire to get into use an investor loan, leverage credit, build a relationship with a lender. I mean, a loan advisor, a lender, a broker, whatever you can use. Doesn't have to be me. It could be someone else, but build a relationship and start to really figure out what it is that you want to do and how that person can help you, instead of you just trying to scurry around a whole bunch of ideas and then want somebody to assist you. Like I said, your future self is going to be mad at you because 5 years, 10 years down the road are going to happen and you haven't gotten no further. So that's all I have for you today. Once again, if you are the New Jersey market, we have access to off market deals. If you want to learn more about those off market deals, along with getting financing to go with them, a lot of these are homes that do need some type of repair. So you would have to be a person who is considering doing a rehab. And so if you want to learn more about that, you can look at the links below this video. And if you're on the podcasting platforms and you're hearing my voice, but you do not see me, I know on Spotify you will see me, but on the other platforms you're only hearing me. Please go into the description under the podcast, and you can find those links as well. Because once again, as we go into 2025, my goal is to help more investors get access to investing products like investor loans. I'm still talking about leveraging business credit, unsecured capital, but I'm using this video to really get people clear on it's not going to be in the way that most people think of it. I'm not the person to come to if you just desire a business credit card. I tell people that all the time. I don't have no method. I don't have no secret lenders list. I don't have no scripts for you to go talk to a gazillion bankers and try to figure out how you're going to get some credit. And I definitely don't know and ain't trying to keep track of all the credit cards that are out there in the credit card space and what reports you need to be able to pull from for you to get some money. What I do is much bigger, meaning that you literally want to look at your credit stack, your debt stack. You want to be able to leverage either both of them, one or the other, to get to your financial goal. Maybe it is credit cards. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's asset-based lending. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a term loan. Maybe it's not. We don't know. I don't know until we get clear on your goals, know what it is that you want to do, and then we put together what the financing is going to be. So my goal for the next video is to really talk more about being able to underwrite your own deals, because you'll get more clarity with what it is that I'm talking about. So this video, at the end of the day, I know I was supposed to sum it up, but many people have asked me, do you still help people with business credit? I do, but it's not the way that most people are familiar with, which is why I don't talk about it a lot, because I don't want people thinking I help them with credit cards. There's a gazillion people that can help you with that. Like I said, I'm the person to come to if you want to a more mature conversation than just credit cards. If you're ready to have a much more mature conversation and you want to be able to talk about how maybe credit cards is something that you could possibly leverage, but other things may get you there to your goal quicker, and you want to have that conversation, like I said, I'm the person to talk to. But other than that, like I said, if you're in the New Jersey market, you want access to off-market deals along with financing in terms of being able to rehab them, like I said, go to www. The links will be below this video if you're on YouTube. And once again, I look forward to having more of these conversations, giving more context to the content that I share, because like I said, I do this from a standpoint of real life experience, not based on the content that other people are doing, not based on what people are asking. I'm doing real life case studies, real life situations with boots on the ground, what I'm looking at, what I'm dealing with. And if that's something you resonate with, if that's something that you want to be able to put into your toolbox in terms of creative financing, like I said, doing it can look a lot of ways. Like I said, at the end of the day, the tax plan on the back end plays a large part too. Then this is the place to be. This is the place to tune into. But if you're just looking for credit cards, this ain't it. You can sign off, and go to the next video. But once again, this is Lorelia, and I will see you in the next podcast episode. Bye-bye.